the assassination of Charlie Cook last week. And of course, we now have the murderer in custody, or at least the presumed murderer in custody. As of the weekend, at least the indications were that that he was not being cooperative. That is, he was not talking. He was not being forthcoming in terms of why he did it, what his motivations were, and all of that, and whether there were other people involved. And so we still don't know firsthand, we still don't know from him at least, what exactly was going on. And we certainly don't know, again, if others at least knew of what he was planning to do, whether he shared the information and that, again, we'll find out more, I'm sure, as the feds look through his social media stuff and try to put it all together. In the meantime, there are many theories out there about what his motive was. And of course, we'll get to the most obvious motive, that Occam's razor suggests the one that's most obvious is the one that's real. But there are a number, you'll see a number, particularly on Twitter, a number of people coming out there and explaining how all the symbols that he wrote down, all the stuff are all memes from games, and these are all, so one of the big explanations is that he is really a groyper, a black-pilled groyper. I didn't know such a thing. A black-pilled groyper is somebody who believes that there is no future. His life is doomed. The world is doomed. Let's get over with. Indeed, let's accelerate. Let's accelerate the end. Let's accelerate the doom. Let's accelerate the decline. So these are people who are nihilists, acknowledge nihilists. They don't believe there's anything positive in the world, nothing positive in their lives. And they want to build, and they want explicitly to bring death and destruction to the world. These are not your typical far-right kind of Christian nationalists who have a vision of the future, want to bring about a particular kind of future. These are, call them, in this case, probably right-wing, I think is the right terminology, nihilists who just want to burn everything down. Explicitly so. There's no other motivation. It's driven by hate of this world, and frustration and depression over the fact that they cannot find their place in this world, and they're convinced that the world is doomed, and they want to help make it doomed. Anyway, that is one of the interpretation out there, and he belongs to one of these. This is all linked to Nick Fuentes. Although I don't know if Nick Fuentes is a black-pilled goiper or just a goiper, but there's a whole massive literature out there about what they are and what they stand for, and but they're racist. They tend to be white supremacists and nationalists, and generally, generally bad people, and who have given up on life. I think, though, that the more reasonable explanation is the more obvious explanation, and that is that he was motivated by the idea that speech is violence, and by the idea that Charlie Cook's speech, Charlie Cook's statements, Charlie Cook's arguments were offensive, and as a consequence constituted violence, and he was doing the just, honorable thing by, killing Charlie Cook. I think that there are rumors out there that his roommate and potential sexual partner is a man transitioning into a woman, so is trans. this person, the roommate, is supposedly cooperating with the police and in police custody and cooperating with them. One of the things they want to know is, what did he know? When did he know it? And stuff like that. But he's also providing information about what Tyler Robinson, what might have motivated Tyler Robinson. So it's likely that he was radicalized by the left, radicalized into kind of crazy nihilistic leftist ideology, which again sees the world as pretty doomed, and insists on that the only positive outcome is complete equality, is egalitarianism. It's a nihilistic, destructive ideology. He was probably influenced there by this, lover roommate who was trans, and if he felt like his lover was being dissed and put down by Charlie Kirk, if he felt like Charlie Kirk was kind of leading the anti-trans movement out there, and if like a lot of leftists, he has bought into the idea, and like what's being taught at our universities. This is not just some crazy, out there, out of context, left-wing, leftist position. This is a position of many people at our universities who are teaching. If he came to believe that speech is violence, then violence against violence is legit. It's self-defense. So, if you think about Charlie Kirk being portrayed online as vehemently anti-trans, the fact that he got shot just as he was answering questions about trans issues, you've got a 22-year-old who wants to be the hero for the person he loves, supposedly, and who wants to be a hero to a whole community of nihilist leftists who want to see people like Charlie Kirk destroyed, and who are fighting the establishment. And you can see why he did it. You can see that he becomes an instant hero to a variety of forums, communities, subreddits, Discord channels that are far left radicals who believe that anybody who does not agree with their agenda vis-a-vis trans people, for example, is therefore committing violence against them and needs to be taken out. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually comes out, but that seems to be the most likely explanation based on the data we have right now. People will try to spin in all kinds of directions. It is interesting because I'm learning a bunch of stuff in the online world that I didn't know. The far dark corners of the online far left, far right are very, very, very ugly places. And the internet allows the people who dabble in this stuff, right, who used to be maybe isolated. There was no way for them to communicate, probably no way for them really to get organized, and no way for them to really feed off of each other. They probably just, became more conventional haters. Now there is this amazing mechanism online to be able to communicate, get inspired by, gain energy from all these other people who have joined your crazy little movement of, nihilistic, again, left or right, it doesn't really matter, of nihilists. Mostly, I think this is something that teenagers or early 20s in the basements of, playing video games are engaged in. Most of them grow out of it, but not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them obviously commit really horrific acts of violence on the way, maybe before they have an opportunity to grow out of it. So, and I think that's the case we have here. So, really horrible. We will see, we will learn, I think, more from Tyler Robinson as the investigation continues. In the meantime, as I told you last week, there are many people online who are celebrating Charlie Cook's murder, which is just horrific. But again, not surprising. Not surprising at all if you believe that speech is violence. I mean, this is as I said last week, this is the issue. The issue is the issue of free speech. The issue is what is speech, the nature of speech, and the fact that violence should not be allowed to be used against a speaker. And that we need to teach people that some speech is horrible. Some speech is disgusting. Some speech is immoral. Some speech is despicable. And the correct response to that is to walk away. Some speech is not even worth debating. Just turn your back. And for a legit organization, don't give them a stage. But if they have a stage, somebody else gave them a stage. And even if you think that what they're saying is horrific, disgusting, awful, you have no right to use force against them. You have no right to use force against them. And that is the fundamental here. That is the key issue. That's the lesson learned. That's what we should be fighting for. We should be fighting for the idea that speech never should lead to a violent response. Again, unless it's incitement or direct threat, right? But that's not clear that that's speech. That speech is countered with speech or countered with silence. Somebody wrote, I asked someone who is fine with Charlie Cook's assassination how they would feel if I was murdered for my beliefs. And they said, well, that would be different. You don't talk about them. So it's the speaking that makes it okay to kill you. It's the speaking, not the holding the ideas, the speaking the ideas that turns those ideas into violence and turns into the ideas that, according to these people, warrant going after them. So this is the far left. This is the Free Palestine movement. This is the merger of the Islamists with the far leftists. This is the real horror today of a far left that dominates, or doesn't dominate in terms of numbers, but dominate in terms of noise, our universities. It certainly is true that there is a significant number of professors who are part of this, who teach it, who encourage it, who participate in it. Whether their justification at this point is Free Palestine or what they call trans rights, or whatever the issue happens to be, systemic racism, at the time, it's not limited to just fighting for what they think are injustices. It includes this idea of speech as violence. And therefore, these are bad ideas that need to be rooted out from our culture, from our universities, from everywhere. I found this. There was a post I found of this young guy sitting in the forest, and he's saying, "Look, this is horrible. What's happened? But you have to understand, there's a plan here. There are forces in the world that are, moving to. This, by the way, had 1.5 million views. Forces in the world moving us to make this cultural war a civil war. They want us to fight. They want us to bleed. They want us to kill each other. They want the left and the right to go after the other. And who are these forces, of course? Who do you think the forces are? Who do you think the forces are? It's old rich men in control. It's BlackRock. It's corporations. It's bankers I mean, who profits when you have riots? Who profits when you burn stores down? Who profits when you turn our backs on each other? Corporations profit. Private equity profits. BlackRock profits. I mean, these are the people who maybe not are cheering Charlie Cook's death, but cheered when the CEO of United Healthcare was killed. These are the people that cheered when that guy went, I think he was targeting the NFL, wanted to kill some people in the NFL, but landed up killing some people at BlackRock. They cheered. They thought it was amazing. I mean, what is interesting about the landscape of young people right now is it's nutty. It's absolutely nutty. It is an interesting time, and it's hard for me to get a sense. Maybe some of you who are part of Gen Z have a sense of the numbers here, but there's a big chunk of the youth today that is pro-socialism. I assume a portion of that chunk of youth that are pro-socialism are, free Palestine. A portion of them, are just anti-corporation, kill the CEO, that's fine. And then there's a portion of Gen Zs that are Goipers, far-right nihilists of various types, all kinds of far-right weird, and then there's another portion that are not nihilists maybe explicitly, but are more Christian conservatives, like fans of J.D. Vance, who today did Charlie Cook's radio show. J.D. Vance did it. I mean, I just wonder how many sane Gen Zs there are politically, from a political perspective. I don't know, but I'm curious. It does seem super scary and a weird place to be. So maybe some of you Gen Zers can educate me about what's going on in the world. Of course, the Trump administration, people in the Trump administration are going to take full advantage of this. There is real passion among certain people on the right to do what they call dismantle the left, dismantle its institutions. I wouldn't be surprised, for example, if universities next got a list from the government on which professors to fire because they belong to the far left. It'll be interesting to see what the government does to, I don't know, anybody who gets money from George Soros, any nonprofits who are associated with the far left, any political parties or political organizations that might be deemed far left, how they're perceived. But there is really a energy, an excitement almost, a don't let, what was it, that Rahm Emanuel said, don't let a good crisis go to waste, right? Don't let a crisis go to waste. Well, it seems like there are people within the Trump administration who are like, yeah, let's not let Charlie Cook's assassination go to waste. Let's use this to accumulate more power and to get rid of our enemies. Stephen Miller on Fox News today. The last message that Charlie Cook gave me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message he sent me. We're going to do that. Now, what he considers fomenting violence is not clear, right? Their whole left-wing agenda is fomenting violence. Was celebrating the killing of Charlie Cook fomenting violence? It should be protected on free speech, but is it fomenting violence? And what does this dismantling these organizations look like? And what are the grounds? And how does this fit into the rule of law? And on and on and on you can go. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Is it true, for example, that MSNBC is a radical left organization fomenting violence? Could it be perceived that way? Are they going to go after it? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Trump administration responds to this. Of course, part of that will depend on what kind of surfaces, that is, to what extent were other organizations, any kind of organizations, involved in what Tyler Robinson, in the killing, in the murder of Charlie Cook. So we're going to see how all this plays out. It's going to be really interesting. Colt Savage says, as a Gen Z person, I can tell you my generation is wicked. Almost none of them are sane. Envy is an article of faith. I'm exceedingly pessimistic. That's horrible to hear. Really is horrible to hear. But it's and I wonder whether that is it. How prevalent is it? That is, how big is it? How are you hanging out in the wrong circles? Is it everywhere? Is it dominant? Here's Matt, who's also a Gen Zer. Nothing gets me more hate from my peers than advocating for objectivist principles. It's sad. So many are unable to think, only feel. But I think that was true with every generation. Nobody liked objectivism, right? Whenever we advocate for objectivism among our peers, people hated on us. Ridiculed at us, came after us. So I wonder if that is unique to Generation Z or if it's worse under Generation Z. I don't know. I'm wondering aloud. I wonder if anybody has any real perspective and data on this. It would be interesting. But it does look bad. It looks really bad. Both left and right, the nihilism, the growth in nihilism on both sides. And I think a lot of this is enabled, not caused, but enabled by the internet and their ability to communicate, to form groups, to radicalize each other, and to do it from the safety of anonymity. The fact that the web can be completely anonymous, which it should be, I'm not against anonymity on the web, makes it possible for people to say things that they would never say in person, to do things they would never, to facilitate things they would never facilitate in person, to just generally engage in language and organization and advocacy that I don't think they would in person, because they'd be ashamed and they'd be afraid. And they'd be afraid of finding out, and they'd be worried about the counter arguments. The nice thing about hiding on some online chat is nobody's going to contradict you. Nobody's going to contradict you. Remember, these also kids who grew up during COVID in isolation. All they had was the basements and their chat groups. That was it. That was their entire social contact.